Saint Nicholas, Kris Kringle, Father Christmas, Papa Noel, of course, Santa Claus. Karamihan sa atin grew up believing in him. Yung mataba, naka-red suit, rides flying reindeers, and lives in the North Pole with his wife and elves. And of course, yung amazing feat of delivering gifts to millions of kids in one night. Until you outgrow him and realize it was all fiction. But what if I told you Santa Claus is based on a real person? Samahan niyo kami in today's episode as we trace how an actual human being from around 1,750 years ago became the gift-giving icon that we know today. This is the origin story of Santa Claus. Bumalik tayo sa taong 270 AD sa ancient city ng Patara sa Lycia, ngayon part ng Turkey. Ipinanganak si Nicholas sa isang wealthy Christian family. His parents died young and he decided na gamitin yung inheritance niya para tulungan ang may hirap. He became the Bishop of Myra, and this is where the legends began. The most famous story, may tatlong sisters whose father can't afford to pay dowry. And that time, this means they can't marry and would be destined to be sold into slavery. Pero one night, mysteriously, may gold na lumitaw sa bahay nila. Then the next night, then the next. Tatlong beses. Yung gold allegedly was tossed through the window by Nicholas, landing in stockings na nakasabit sa my fireplace to dry. Sounds familiar? Well, actually, that's where the tradition of hanging stockings came from. Nicholas died on December 6, 343 AD and was buried in his church in Myra. His reputation as a miracle worker spread quickly across the Christian world, and he became venerated as a saint. His feast day, December 6, is the anniversary of his death, and it became a day of celebration and gift-giving. Ngayon, fast forward tayo to medieval Europe. Saint Nicholas became insanely popular, especially in the Netherlands. The Dutch called him Sinterklaas, their version of Saint Nicholas, a tall, serious bishop wearing red robes, a mitre carrying a golden staff. He traveled on a white horse. Take note, hindi pa reindeers, and gave gifts to children on the eve of his feast day, which is December 5. Now here's where it gets interesting. In the late 1600s, the Dutch settlers sailed to America and founded New Amsterdam, which eventually became New York City after the British took over. The Dutch brought their Sinterklaas tradition with them. And when the English-speaking Americans tried to pronounce Sinterklaas, it became Santa Claus. But in early America, Santa didn't quite catch on until 1809 when author Washington Irving wrote A History of New York, which included stories about the Dutch and their beloved Saint Nicholas, or as Americans were starting to call him, Santa Claus. Irving described him as a jolly round figure flying over treetops in a wagon. This wasn't historical, obviously. This was Irving's imagination, but Americans loved it. Then in 1823, Clement Clarke Moore wrote a poem called A Visit from Saint Nicholas. Malamang familiar kayo dito sa poem na to. Yung intro niya yung "'Twas the night before Christmas." This poem introduced a sleigh pulled by 8 reindeers, Santa going down chimneys, the image of a chubby and plump, right jolly old elf, and Christmas Eve gift-giving instead of the eve of December 6. Moore basically remixed Sinterklaas into something new. Yung Dutch bishop is now an elf. Yung eve of St. Nicholas' feast ay ginawang eve of Christmas. And yung white horses ngayon ay naging reindeers. And the transformation had begun. While Moore's poem was really good, it was just words. At para maging real si Santa in people's minds, kailangan ng image. Enter Thomas Nast, a German-American political cartoonist, and in 1863, the middle of the American Civil War, Nast drew Santa Claus for Harper's Weekly magazine. His Santa was dressed in stars and stripes, visiting Union soldiers, distributing gifts. It was propaganda, sure, and actually, Nast wanted to boost morale. But over the next 30 plus years, Nast kept drawing Santa, and with each illustration, the modern image solidified. Yung round belly, full white beard, red suit with white fur trim, at yung black boots and belt. And of course, the bag of toys. Nast also introduced Santa's workshop at the North Pole, yung idea of Santa having a list of naughty and nice kids, and Santa as a larger-than-life figure, not an elf. By the 1880s, Nast's Santa was the Santa. Pero di pa dyan natatapos yung storya. People often think that Coca-Cola invented the modern Santa, and while that's not true, arguably what they did is something far more powerful. They standardized him globally. Noong 1931, during the Great Depression, Coca-Cola wanted to boost their winter sales. So they hired illustrator Haddon Sandblom to create Santa ads. Sandblom drew inspiration from Moore's poem and Nass's illustration, but added warmth and realism. His Santa was grandfatherly, kind, with rosy cheeks and twinkling eyes. He used his friend Lou Prentice as a model and later himself. So from 1931 to 1964, Sandblom created 33 years of Coca-Cola Santa illustrations. These ads appeared everywhere: magazines, billboards, calendars, store displays. At ngayon, para sa millions of people worldwide, this was Santa, the jolly old man in the red suit taking a break from gift-giving to enjoy a Coke. So as you can see, Santa Claus isn't one person or one tradition. He's a 1750-year cultural remix. A Greek bishop from Turkey filtered through Dutch folklore, reimagined by American poets, visualized by German-American artists, and marketed globally by a soda company. And the evolution didn't stop. Every generation kept adding layers. It's Rudolph, Mrs. Claus, the Naughty and Nice list, movies, songs, TV specials, each culture, each era, putting their own spin on the legend. But here's the thing. Remember how we all eventually stopped believing in Santa? We realized the flying reindeers weren't real, the North Pole workshop was fiction, and the chimney visits were just impossible. But what if we're focusing on the wrong part? Because the real story, the one about Saint Nicholas of Myra who devoted his life helping the poor, that story is true. And the lesson at its core hasn't changed: generosity, kindness, and giving without expecting anything in return. So, yes, we stopped believing the myth, but maybe what we should believe in is the spirit behind it. That's the real magic of Santa Claus. Merry Christmas mula sa Kukoteng Pinoy. We would like to wish you and your loved ones all the best this holiday season. Tandaan, ang Kukoteng Pinoy ay Kukoteng matalino. Isip, tuklas, kwento.